The LEGO Fortnite Odyssey content update that we've all been waiting for is finally here. The patch notes cover Expeditions, Odyssey, and even some good news for Brick Life, but let's strictly talk about Odyssey. The patch notes they released today told us that mask maker Daigo has released evil forces, and the spires have finally awakened and are now activated. Defeating them will give us different rewards, and they will regenerate over time to give us even more rewards. There's different difficulties so that they will affect different waves of enemies, and we are going to have different enemies spawn, such as masked minifigs and titans, although it doesn't seem as though that core will. We have a new rune that is the Spire Bane 3, as well as a brand new weapon use, which is the corrupted crystal material to use on our weapons. One of the bug fixes that they mention is that you're going to be able to talk to Vengeance Jones now, and that they fixed some of those issues. So starting off in my world here, opening up my journal, I have a brand new quest from Vengeance Jones, which says spiraling out of control. The spires have woken up, and I need to find and speak to Vengeance Jones, and luckily enough, while I look around, he's sitting down at my village, which is very convenient, and he should be doing the same for you. When I go to speak to Vengeance Jones, he tells us that the giant floating rocks have woken up, and that they brought in a portal from the spirit realm. And if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I got very unlucky, and one of mine spawned right next to my village, which is worrisome in the case that they come to destroy it. I do recommend every one of you, after talking to Vengeance Jones, begins to craft some of the new weapons and get out to exploring. They should have icons on them after you've discovered them, so you will need to walk up to them in order to see where they're at, and then mark a spot on your map. So the moment we've all been waiting for, finally some new content in Odyssey, and I'm gonna go and take down the spire that's been next to my village this entire time. Now I do need to kill 10 total enemies as well, so I want them to be spawning if that's even possible. I ran out of my juice inside of my pistols. I look at the daggers not doing very much damage, which isn't a bad thing. They would be a little bit overpowered. Okay, so these weapons just absolutely destroyed the spire, and no enemies came out of it. They did tell us that they're going to have different difficulties when it comes to the spires, so maybe I just got unlucky with the first one, and that was just a very weak spire. Let's try out this one right here. This was also one hit by my pistols. Third time's the charm. I have never seen this spire before in my life, so let's go and take this one out with one clip as well. Okay, so 3 times and they have no help. And when it comes to taking a look inside of my journal, it doesn't look as though it's counting the 10 enemies or the 10 spires that I've defeated. I defeated 3 of them, no enemies were spawning, and none of the spires were tracking whatsoever, so there has to be some sort of bug. And would you look at that, randomly around my world, nowhere near a spire, I had 3 masked enemies show up, which when I defeat them, it does show up as registering in my journal, so it looks like we just have to explore a little bit more. While exploring, I did find myself one of the titans, which is a very fun enemy to fight inside of Expeditions, so I figured it would be pretty fun to fight inside of Odyssey as well. Using the daggers is my favorite weapon to use because you can use your secondary attack from behind to get double damage, but also you get stuck under his butt, and that allows you to just spam your secondary attack over and over again. When it comes to the pistols, I don't have the unlimited cooldown thing that we get inside of Expeditions, so unfortunately I do have to switch off of them. But I did use every single weapon on the Titan, which is a breath of fresh air because he has different attack styles, and what I found was that the hammer does 35 damage per jump attack. He dropped me a hammer. He also dropped me something called a corrupted crystal, which we'll definitely be taking a look at later because it is an epic rarity and is a crafting material. Ultimately, what I figured out after about 2 hours of running around my world is that my world doesn't have all of the new content, so I loaded up some sandbox to show you guys some of of the new materials. Making corrupted weapons is simply going up to your crafting bench and using that brand new corrupted material. You can see that it actually does better damage and has more durability than what Shatterhorn and some of the other gems do. So this may be the new best thing to use in the game if you're not a huge fan of zapping 4 over zapping 3. Now you can create your weapon and then walk over to your rune forge, and just like what you would do with Shatterhorn, you're able to come over here and then add runes onto the weapon. For myself, I think that durability, zapping, and damage is probably the best to go along with that Spire Bane 3. I already know what you guys are going to ask. Can you make these legendary? And the answer is yes. Walk up to your legendary forge with your 3 rift crystals and you're able to rift these weapons. While in Sandbox, I'm able to throw down a ton of these masked enemies to see exactly how these corrupted weapons will do. And let me just say, they're a bit overpowered, and I could definitely see a nerf coming in for the weapons or a buff coming for the enemies. Every single time that I spawn these in, I could one-shot pretty much every single one of these, especially with zapping on. I can wipe out an entire mob in just a second or two with the daggers, and that's not even the more overpowered weapon, which is the pistols. You could fight from a range here, and the zapping can pretty much take out the enemies all on its own. Because my world is bugged, I can't show you guys how to complete every single quest. However, I can show you a few tips and tricks just from what I have in my inventory. If you guys are struggling to get 10 crystals, what you can do is walk up to any chest, put your crystal inside of that chest, and then withdraw it again. That'll count as if you got a second one, and then if you drop and pick it up, a third one and a fourth one, even though you only have 1 total crystal. So this is a nice and easy way to unlock that quest. There's other quests that are involved here, which is defeating the 10 enemies, also defeating a red spire, which is the more difficult one that I couldn't find earlier in my video. And unfortunately, I can't record on those because I only have 4 or 5 spires on my world that I can find, and none of them are the red ones. Not only that, but after about 2 hours of playing, I still haven't had mine respawn yet, so there's not much that I'm able to do here, unfortunately. I hope that they fix a lot of these bugs and issues so that I can complete some of the quests, and if I'm experiencing them, I'm sure a lot of you guys are experiencing the exact same issues, so hopefully a hotfix releases very soon to fix some of this stuff. Overall, the new content is definitely cool and fun, but we definitely need some fixes. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and as always, guys, this was Crafty, and I'm out. Peace. Help me reach 50,000 subscribers by pressing that sub button in the top right. And if you guys haven't already, check out that video in the top left. YouTube thinks that you'll like it a lot. Peace.